Hi. Hi. Hey, how you doing? Namaste. Hi. So, I'm not much of a fanfiction reader, but here I am. I am a big fan of Stucky, Steve and Bucky, and it's a shame what happened to them and in the end game, but let's not talk about that. Fuck you, Russos. Anyway, so I was searching Stucky in Google, and I came across an article that was talking about Steve and Bucky's relationships and the fandom, as blah blah blah, and they mentioned a fan fiction called Not Easily Conquered, which is in the website Archive of Our Own, which is a website for fan fiction basically. So I decided to check it out, and it was the best decision of my life. I'm not even kidding. Where do I start? First, let me give a brief summary of the story. So the thing is, those of y'all who have watched Captain America, the first Avenger movie, so the story starts where the movie ends, but there's a twist. So the thing is, so we all know that Captain America, he at the end of the movie, like Bucky dies and the war is over, blah blah blah, and at the end he crashes the plane into the ocean, and then where Steve gets frozen for 70 years. All right, like everyone knows that. But the thing is, in the story, Steve escapes. He jumps out of the plane and he swims to the shore and he's saved. So that's where the story starts. So we all know that in Captain America, right, he's asleep or he's frozen for 70 years or 75 years, right? And then he wakes up in the present day, 2014 or 15 or whatever that year it was. But the thing is, now the story takes place in the 1940s, from the 1940s, where he escapes from the plane, and he goes back home and he gets married to Peggy Carter, and they have a family, and blah 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 blah. The war is over, blah blah blah. So that's where the story starts, and that's what it traces Steve's journey. But in the middle, like after a few years, Bucky's letters are discovered. So apparently, like in the story, Bucky has written 13 letters, which is, everyone speculates that it's addressed to Steve, and these are his basically his feelings and his confession, his love for Steve, blah blah blah. So Steve discovers, the whole world actually discovers the letters and reads them. So that's what the fan fiction is about. And first, where do I even start? Let's talk about the writing first. So the writers, there are two writers, Emily and Ellen. By the way, thank you, Emily and Ellen, for writing such a wonderful story and gifting it to the world. It's a gift, really. So the writing, oh my god, it's so wonderful. I've never come across such good writing style in fan fiction, especially. Now, I know fanfiction is a genre that most people look down upon because, it's not original work. Like, at least the characters are not original. They are taken from somewhere, right? But this fanfiction, I'm telling y'all, it's amazing. If the characters were not copyrighted by Marvel, if the characters were original, I'm telling you, this story would be, like, fit to be published. It would be a rage. It would, I could see it being published, and I could see people reading it all over the world and winning awards, this story winning awards. So the writing style is so good. I was so blown away. That was the first thing I noticed about this whole fan fiction, was the writing style. Like, so skillful. Like, it's so skillfully written. And there are so many, details and stuff, attention to details, the descriptions, and just the, especially the, how do you say, the feelings, the monologues, and etc. And especially Bucky's letters, oh my god. It is its own literary work. Like, Bucky's letters could be its own, separate literary work. It's that good. It's so good. And like, I have to say that it's very emotional. The writing, it's very emotional, like, because it's told from the story, from the perspective of both Steve and Bucky. So obviously, their feelings and all are explained in the story, and it's very emotional. But it will also, whoever is watching, you should not be like, oh, you know what, I don't like emotional stuff, pass. No, that's a big mistake. You have to read it. It is so good. You won't regret it. And also, like, the story, like, we all know the Marvel takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? But this fan fiction, it takes place in real life, and with real events happening. Like, there are mentions of real events, like the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, right? The Stonewall riots, and all that AIDS crisis, the protests, etc. The blasting of the Twin Towers. So all these real events are mentioned in the story, and like, and it's so detailed. Like, these writers have really researched, and in the story you'll see that they've provided notes, about their research, about the facts, where they got their facts from. So this is not just a whim, like just some random fan writing something, writing their imagined romance between Steve and Bucky. These writers have actually researched. They have actually, like, paid attention to the details, to the comics. There are comic book references, there are the movie references, and real life events references. So it's not just an ordinary fan fiction. It's a really well-written novel. That's all I can say. Well, I don't know if it's a novel or a novella, but whatever. It's basically, there are 3 parts. The first part is called A Long Winter. Second part is called 13 Letters, which is a flashback. Whatever. Just read it. And the third part is called Not Easily Conquered, which is also the title of this whole story. So, and each part is like a really long chapter. It should take around like 30 minutes maximum for like avid readers like me. Like, next, let's talk about the characters. Obviously, I love Bucky and Steve. Their characters are so well written, so emotional, so compelling, and so real. Like, there are real emotions, like, and there are shades of gray, round characters. They are not flat, two-dimensional characters. They are very well written characters. But I have to give a shout out to the female character of Peggy Carter. Oh my god, it's so well written. Like, this female character is present in a story that revolves around them, around 2 male characters, Steve and Bucky, right? But Peggy holds her own in the presence of these 2. So her character is also very well written, especially she's one of very few female characters in the whole story. So I have to give a shout out to her. It's so good. The female character is written so well. I really like that, even though she might not be everyone's favorite, and even in the story you might not like her that much, but I have to say she was very well written again. Very good. And there are a lot of cameos, I'm calling it cameos, by many Marvel characters that the fans will recognize and the fans will love. So it's like a little, not only Easter egg, but like, a surprise, a gift, kind of like a shout out, yay! Whatever, so it's really good. So this story is not only for like Marvel fans, like even ordinary readers can read this and be blown away by it. It's that good. It's not only about Marvel. This is not about Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is about like 2 guys, 2 soldiers who, 2 star-crossed lovers, blah blah blah. Like, it's so good. And let me quote a line from the story. It's so good. Like, this is just a glimpse of what's there in the story, just a little bit of preview. So this quote is from Bucky's letter that he secretly wrote, which is addressed to Steve. So the line is like this: I won't be in the history books, that's for you, but I loved you first. As long as they get that right, I don't care what they say. So let me conclude by saying that this fanfiction, Not Easily Conquered by Emily and Ellen, is hands down one of the best, if not the best, fanfiction ever written on the internet. I know One Direction fanfic writers are probably like, what you say, bitch? But it is what it is. This is the best fanfiction out there, y'all. I'm not kidding. And you guys should read it. I'll leave the link in the description box down below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.